wrestling fans. My name is Brian Crazy. I'm THC Styles, and we're the F brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, we're back with the second oldest episodic television show in history. That's right, Friday Night Smackdown, which was 2012. In my opinion, Smackdown was a solid show tonight. JC, what are your thoughts? And we'll jump right into the first segment.
My thoughts are this. It was definitely some great matches tonight. We saw the build-up for the WWE Championship Triple Threat match, which we hear announced at the very end of SmackDown. We see a fantastic match between Sheamus and said opponent once we get past the first segment. And we saw Zack Ryder and Santino pick up the win later in the night against another tag team. It was just a really good night on SmackDown. I enjoyed it from beginning to end, and get right into it so we could talk about all these moments that we saw tonight.
Exactly. Sheamus, the world's heavyweight champion, comes out and he opens up the show. He comes out and talks about the No Way Out pay-per-view. He talks about his upcoming match against Alberto Del Rio at that event. Out comes David Otunga. Otunga interrupts and demands an apology for Sheamus almost running down his boss 2 weeks ago. Then we see Alberto Del Rio come out. Otunga ends up giving Alberto Del Rio the right to pick Sheamus' opponent later in the night, and then Otunga is the recipient of a bro kick. As Sheamus is hitting the bro kick on Otunga, Alberto Del Rio is quickly making his way away from the ring. He wants no part of the world's heavyweight champion until their match at the No Way Out pay-per-view. Then we go into the first match of the night.
Yes, the most anticipated return after being sidelined with an injury for 7 months. Cara, the international sensation, picked up the win over Heath Slater. And for anyone who's going to bash Sin Cara, because we know that there are people out there that do that, Sin Cara was on fire. It looked like he didn't miss not 1 minute away from the ring. It looked like he had been wrestling for the last 7 months. He hit every move perfectly well executed.
Well,
it was a fantastic match.
I think a lot of the fans just don't understand that down in Mexico they wrestle a different style. They wrestle to a different side of their bodies. In America they wrestle to the reverse side of the body. So just learning that change, imagine your whole life you learn one thing. Like example, I'm sure there's plenty of viewers that aren't from the United States and drive possibly on the other side of the road. Imagine coming here to the States and now driving on the right side of the road versus the left side of the road. That's the comparison we're trying to make. But I do have to agree with JC Styles. Sin Cara was on fire, and a lot of people actually, like the national one-man Southern Rock band Heath Slater, thought how many new stars have been put against Heath Slater is kind of a measuring stick as they make their entrance into the WWE.
Numerous. We saw Ryback. I think we even seen Brodus Clay. So many of these different guys come back and get put in the ring with Heath Slater. Even on Superstars, I believe Antonio Cesaro took on Heath Slater at one point. And it was just, this match was very good for the first opening show. Sin Cara comes back with a new intro. He slides under the bottom rope, springboards off the second rope, and does this little flip that he normally does off the trampoline. No trampoline anymore. He does it in the ring, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a little bit different, and I like that they refreshed the character a little bit. New ring attire, slightly different entrance music. He had a new, like JC said, entrance into the ring itself, and it was definitely refreshing. But to sum it up, Sin Cara did pick up the win in his return about 7 months in the making. It was last November at the Survivor Series pay-per-view that he suffered that injury. I remember watching that event. Unfortunately, that was probably the one event we weren't able to catch together in the last year, and I remember watching that event and the injury happening and actually doing an update for this channel for all the fans and subscribers out there. Then we go into the next match. My personal favorite, I'm very high on the Damien Sandow character. I like what the guy has brought to the table. I like his persona, I like his gimmick, I like his ability, and he's going against Ezekiel Jackson. So right away you're kind of questioning, is he going to be able to take it to Big Zeke? Because Big Zeke's no joke. But in the last few months, the last year even, Big Zeke, since leaving the core, really hasn't been too distinguished. He hasn't really broken out. He's kind of just been lost in the mix.
He had a small stint with the Intercontinental Championship against Wade Barrett, but then after losing the Intercontinental Championship, he really didn't do anything.
That's quite correct. After the core fizzled out, there was that small Intercontinental Championship run. Basically, he's kind of been just lost in the shuffle. And then you see a guy like Big Zeke going against Damien Sandow, who's a relatively new star in the WWE, and you really don't know what you're going to expect. And right off the rip, he was completely dominant. I mean, Zeke was just dominating Sandow. As soon as Sandow gained control, those hard knees, he ended up catching him in a side Russian leg sweep, which he ended up rolling right out of, a barrel roll right out of it, and then he hit his neckbreaker for the finish.
Yeah.
Very impressive, very quick match, but I do have to say Damien Sandow does show a lot of promise in the WWE, and I hope they keep pushing these huge stars.
Yes, it was, like I said, I was going to say, I think that having Damien Sandow pick up the win is cemented for his push as a newcomer. Also, just to have Zeke, who's been a veteran in the business, has been in there since 2008, 2009, having to, lose to Damien Sandow. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from Damien Sandow, but for someone as a veteran as Zeke has been in the WWE for the last couple of years, you would think that they would have given Zeke a little bit more offense during this match and have it like a really good back and forth battle.
Well, there's a couple things that do go into play. One, there's only so much time on one of these shows, and to fit all these segments, if you imagine, okay, you make one segment just 2-3 minutes longer, then they have to cut out another segment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we could look through the card and probably minimalize a segment or change something to make that balance happen. But the thing about it, and the thing that makes Zeke a great competitor and also makes him a great asset to the WWE, is he goes out there, he made Damien Sandow look good tonight, and he did his job.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of people were questioning Chris Jericho's return to the WWE. What did Jericho really do? Why is Jericho even back? He's just losing to Punk. Jericho came back to help put over the next generation of stars, and he came back to do his job. He is a sports entertainer, he is a wrestler, he is a performer, and he put on some incredible performances, and that's what Zeke did tonight. He helped put over Damien Sandow.
Then we move into the backstage segment. We see Ricardo and Alberto Del Rio talking. You assume they're talking about Sheamus because Ricardo says Sheamus, and Del Rio turns around and tells him, hey, be quiet, and then in comes walking Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler says, hey, I know that you could pick Sheamus as opponent tonight. Put me in that slot. And this is just coming off a very big loss this past Monday night on Raw, where Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler were not able to pick up the tag team championships. Post-match, Dolph Ziggler was like, I'm better than this, and storms out of the ring, leaving both Vicky and Swagger behind. Then we see Del Rio shake Ziggler's hand and say, you got your match. And we see Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler, and I probably want to say match of the night next to Kane and
it was a fantastic contest, excuse me, we'll get to that in just a short moment. But before that, we go into 2-on-1 handicap action.
The next tag team champions, Ryan Shelton and Charles Lyon.
Did you write that down, or you actually remember their names?
No, I wrote it down.
Oh, okay. Not that I don't have respect for these young up-and-coming talents, but they would be better suited on like the Superstars or NXT or a match against a guy that maybe they would have half a chance against. I mean, Ryback's going to destroy him 2 at a time. What's next? I'll bring 3 at a time. I do like the Ryback character. He's simply dominant. He is, okay, I'm going to admit, he has some similarities to Goldberg, but a lot of similarities end there. Yeah. Goldberg never acted like a machine. Goldberg really was a very...
Well, actually, Goldberg, there was a couple of times in WCW on Nitro where Goldberg did take on 2 men at once.
Exactly, but I mean, Goldberg was a very quiet persona. I mean, Ryback just has a different gimmick to him. And I think he's going to be really interesting, and I'm curious where he's going to progress in the WWE. We've already seen WWE in one of their reacquisitions, Lord Tensai, already rebranded him, and he's really not getting the push that he was getting for the first month he was back. Now he's being featured on Superstars. Ryback's still being featured prominently alongside Brodus Clay, who was also recently brought back to the WWE.
Do you think maybe it's time to put Ryback in the ring against someone with a little bit more experience? I mean, for the last couple of months now, we've seen, last couple of weeks since WrestleMania, we've seen Brodus Clay get in the ring in a tag team match with Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger. We've seen, Lord Tensai get in the ring and face John Cena and get that big push against Cena. I mean, maybe it's time for Ryback to get some competition to see what he could really do when his back is against the wall.
Well, interesting enough, Ryback could have potential competitors in like an Ezekiel Jackson, a Tyler Rex, some of these bigger talents that really aren't getting the time to shine. They could really go out there, maybe give Ryback a little run for his money. Even if Ryback, they don't end the winning streak at this point, they could do something a little bit different. Maybe the era of just bringing in jobbers to try to push a new talent, is that still successful?
Because all you're really doing is like you're putting 2 guys who probably are really good, talented wrestlers wherever they came from. Then you put them in the WWE ring against someone who their WWE's trying to build up. There's no exposure for them. You're not really doing much with the exception of trying to prove that Ryback is dominating, but it's easy to dominate when you're putting him against two people who could barely probably weigh maybe 120 pounds combined.
I think they said their combined weight was like 320 pounds. That means they were like
320 pounds.
One guy's like $170, one guy's like $150. I mean, seriously. Well, not to dwell on that, we'll move right into the next segment. Vicky Guerrero comes out, and just as she's about to speak, out comes Dolph Ziggler. He interrupts, he cuts a short promo, and then goes into probably what is match of the night. We see Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler, and I'll just give you guys the match conclusion. JC can give you some quick thoughts, and we'll keep this review going. We have gotten a little sidetracked off Friday Night Smackdown, but I think that's the one thing that makes our review so unique compared to a lot of other shooters, is that we have multiple years of being wrestling fans, so we're able to give you our perspectives as a fan and also our perspective as a wrestling shooter.
Exactly.
And basically, the match concludes with a bro kick to Dolph Ziggler from Sheamus after Jack Swagger came out. He was trying to assist Dolph Ziggler, but he ended up just sabotaging him, if nothing else.
Exactly.
And Sheamus picked up the win. What are your thoughts on this match?
Oh, I mean, Dolph Ziggler definitely gave it his very all in this match, taking it to Sheamus. Sheamus, you know, coming off a big role as he has been over the last couple of weeks, you know, you knew Sheamus was going to go and he was going to win the match. You knew that Dolph Ziggler really didn't have a chance. This was more of a buffer match to keep Sheamus warm and hot, so going into No Way Out. And it's a shame because I actually did a little research earlier, and on a February 15th episode of Friday Night Smackdown last year, Edge utilized a spear, and Dolph Ziggler was the World Heavyweight Champion.
Dolph Ziggler was
for minus 1 day, but he was World Heavyweight Champion, and we saw nothing accumulate from that.
It wasn't minus 1 day, it was 1 hour.
Yeah.
What happened was, Vicky Guerrero came out. The spear was banned. Vicky Guerrero came out. She ended up saying that he was stripped of the title. She awarded it to Dolph Ziggler. That's when Teddy Long came back. A few weeks prior to that on SmackDown, I believe Dolph Ziggler was responsible for an attack on Teddy Long.
Yeah.
And that's when Teddy Long set up the rematch for the world title. And didn't Clay Matthews come out, and he was, is it Clay Matthews?
I wouldn't even remember that far back. All I remember is
I want to say it was Clay Matthews that came out.
Dolph Ziggler was World Heavyweight Champion, but then lost later in the night. He had a great match with Edge at the 2011 Royal Rumble, and we saw him with a nice brief stint as United States Champion last year before losing it to Zack Ryder at TLC, and we haven't seen nothing since that. For Dolph Ziggler, we haven't seen no title shots. We haven't seen him at
at the 2012 Royal Rumble. He had an incredible WWE title match against CM Punk. But let's just keep this progressing.
Yeah.
It was a great match nonetheless. Then we go into tag team action. Santino Marella and Zack Ryder end up picking up the win over Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. This match is only about 2 minutes long. They picked up a pretty decisive victory, a very quick victory. But post-match, this is when it gets interesting. The Big Show comes out and further solidifies that heel turn.
But before we get into that, we got to see the Primetime Players versus Cobro, and it was, you know, even though that it was a quick match, you know, it was a quick match. Cobro. It was a good win for Santino and Ryder, but you're going out there and you're trying to push Mr. No Days Off Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, and you're not really doing anything with having them lose to Santino and Ryder within 3-4 minutes. Don't get me wrong, both teams have the athleticism and talent to go back and forth.
Well, there's a reason this was set up like this. They set up this match like this for this reason alone. After Santino and Ryder picked up the win, they were all jubilant. They were all happy. They're celebrating. The fans are embracing them, and out comes the Big Show. Oh, you want to celebrate? You fans want to laugh? You want to do this? You want to do that? You want to do the other? A couple weeks ago when I was embarrassed, the next segment you're cheering for the Funkasaurus. That's why he had such an exception with him on Monday Night Raw. And the Big Show, I guess, just has a problem with people being happy after being embarrassed so badly, and that's when he comes out and absolutely destroys not only Santino Marella but also Zack Ryder. And then we go right into the next segment. Daniel Bryan and AJ Lee backstage, and Daniel Bryan is just poking at her. He's just getting at her. He is just getting under her skin, and you could tell by the look in her face. And I have to say, AJ is evolved as a character so much. I mean, when she first broke into the WWE, there wasn't too much that defined her. There wasn't anything that really stood out about her, except for she is very pretty, and she's got that nice gimmick that she is the girl next door.
Yes.
But now she's been able to do these facial expressions. She's been able just to play the part so well, and gotta give her a lot of credit for the progression of her character.
Then we move into the next match. We see the Intercontinental Champion, the Captain Charisma, the leader of the Peeps, after going 6-0, the last since being back from over the limit, he's gone 6-0, sitting out at the commentators table, and we hear him talking about how he wants to. He's looking forward to his match with Cody Rhodes, and we see Cody come out and take on Tyson Kidd. Now, this was a good match again. This is the thing I don't understand, is you have a talent like Tyson Kidd, don't get me wrong, I really don't. I just can't stand the character, because I look at him and all I can see is that friggin' hairdo when he used to come out with the friggin' thing.
Well, Tyson Kidd, I mean, compared to when he was in the Hart Dynasty, Tyson Kidd has evolved so much. And because I am such a fan of NXT, I get to see Tyson Kidd a lot.
I'm talking about, what I was going to say was, I can't stand the character, but the guy's got great in-ring talent.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to add to that. He does have incredible in-ring talent. I didn't mean to interrupt you. But on NXT, that character, from what you saw in the Hart Dynasty, when he was with DH and with Italia, has evolved so much. And the feud between him and Michael McGillicuddy really heated up Tyson Kidd, and it really heated up Michael McGillicuddy. I mean, you've got veterans like William Regal singing the praises of Michael McGillicuddy now because of the work he did with Tyson Kidd. Excellent match. Rhodes ends up picking up the win over Tyson Kidd. Then we go into the main event. CM Punk versus Kane, the first time in 4 years that the WWE Championship will be defended, on Friday Night Smackdown.
Yes, great match. Definitely looking forward to the next time Kane and CM Punk get in the ring, which we find out a little bit later on after the match concludes. It was I would probably say, match of the night next to, along with Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler. CM Punk has been on a terrific roll as of late over the last several months since picking up the WWE Championship. Has been cutting really great in-ring mic skills, promos, great matches. Kane, he's coming off of his return, feuding with John Cena at Elimination Chamber, feuding with Randy Orton, and it's just overall Kane being the monster. And basically the tagline of this match that CM Punk cut earlier in the show was, you have the best in the world versus the demon's favorite, the devil's favorite demon, excuse me. And it was just a really great match, and then we come to the conclusion where Daniel Bryan comes out and tries to interfere, is cut off by CM Punk, and then the match is thrown out because he not attacks one, but he attacks both.
Exactly. Kane was about to go for the choke slam on CM Punk. This is when Daniel Bryan gets up on the top turnbuckle and hits that drop kick. He ends up beating down on CM Punk for a few moments. CM Punk ends up reversing. I think he attempts to go for the go to sleep. And this is when Kane comes to the ring. Both these men end up receiving a choke slam, a double choke slam, and John Laurinaitis and the executive administrator end up coming out and announcing that at the No Way Out pay-per-view, it will be a triple threat match for the WWE title. You will see Kane versus Daniel Bryan versus the defending WWE champion, CM Punk. And before we close out this episode, I do have to say, earlier in the week, the news broke that Randy Orton's been suspended for a period of 60 days. Randy Orton is one of SmackDown's top players right now, and it's going to be very interesting how the other superstars kind of fill the void, and they also capitalize on the situation.
Exactly.
And I think seeing Dolph Ziggler returning to the blue brand was already in the works before Randy Orton's suspension was announced. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe people in the WWE knew what was happening, and that's why the teams kind of split up on Monday night, because they knew in advance that they needed to kind of switch some star power back.
Exactly.
And I've also heard that John Cena's been also booked for a lot of the upcoming Smackdowns to help add some extra star power and some dark main events.
Be pretty interesting. So guys, to close up the video, please leave your comments down in the comment box below. We would definitely love to hear what you guys have to say about tonight's edition of SmackDown. Please check out the website of the official website of the FM brand, at FightNationWrestling.com, and following us on Twitter at FNTrueWrestling.
Yes, like JC said, all the links will be provided in the description box below, and you guys got to hear some of our thoughts. Now we want to hear yours. That's what makes this so great, is we get to hear your opinions. And don't worry about other people coming after you for your views and your opinions. We will stand up for you. We want to be able to, quote-unquote, be the voice of the voiceless, so to speak. We want to make it so any wrestling shooter feels comfortable to come on here, and not even if you're a shooter, if you're just a wrestling fan, you feel comfortable to come on here and leave your thoughts, because at the end of the day, the message of the FM brand is we respect the athletes. We respect them for going out there and putting their necks on the line. Believe me, there's a lot of gimmicks that we don't like, but at the end of the day, if the competitor, if that athlete goes out there and does a good job, he deserves some respect. That's all. So like we said, please drop your comments below. We can't wait to hear your feedback for the FM brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com. My name is Brian Crazy.
I'm JC Styles. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back Monday night.